Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Make sure to subscribe to see more of my Yu-Gi-Oh content. So we're looking at some new cards that are coming out of Lightning Overdrive. Every so often when they're doing these packs, they have releases of some of the random remaining cards. So this is one of those examples. This is part 1. There's also going to be a secondary section. The first card is called Book of Lunar Eclipse. It's the one that you can see in the top left corner. It's a quick play spell card and the effect is 1, discard 1 card, then target 2 face-up monsters on the field, change them to face-down defense position. Everyone knows what this card is. It's another one of those book cards. It's very similar to Book of Moon, but arguably that much better. Book of Moon flips 1 card face down, but this actually targets 2. It does come at the cost of discarding 1 card, whereas Book of Moon doesn't. But otherwise, if this was to be the case, chances are it would be a bit too powerful. The next card is Yamoi Mori. It's the card that you see on the bottom left corner. It's a water attribute reptile type level 2 with 0 attack and 0 defense. You can only use this card's name's effect once per turn. 1, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 reptile monster you control and 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Activate one of these effects. Change the targeted monsters to face-down defense position. Destroy your targeted monster, and if you do, change your opponent's targeted monster's attack to 0 until the end of this turn. This actually works with a couple of archetypes. There are the Phenomenon and Phenomenaga. Well, the Venom archetype itself, which focuses on getting your opponent's monsters down to 0 attack, so Venom Swamp can then destroy those monsters with its effect. That's their field spell. Or you've also got Reptilians, who, if they can destroy things in battle, you can then steal those monsters. Or they also have trigger effects, which mean that they automatically destroy monsters that have 0 attack. So this being a reptile type monster actually works well with both of those. I've already mentioned the monster that's in the top right corner. That's Uncamouflage, and it's really weak. It's basically a pendulum monster that doesn't let you do anything. It doesn't let you have an extra deck. The only cards you can have as an extra deck are those 3 copies of this if you're planning to run it. Otherwise, it's just a generic vanilla type monster. And the final card is the bottom right. This is Kyuyin Carbon. It's an Earth attribute fairy type effect monster which is level 4 and has 1200 attack and defense. You can only use either this card's name's first or second effects per turn, and only once that turn. 1, you contribute this normal summoned card, add 1 Earth fairy type monster from your deck to your hand, except a copy of itself. 2, if a face-up fairy monster you control is sent to the graveyard, or this card is in your graveyard, you can place this card on the top of your deck. Okay, so ISHIZU'S Ishtar is a character from the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! She appeared within Battle City, and she specialised in using Earth attribute fairy type monsters. You've got a couple of new examples, including a brand new Zolga card, so I'm guessing that's what this is meant to be supporting. But really, its first effect is very mediocre. You don't have too many monsters that meet that criteria that are actually decent. And the secondary effect of if this card is sent to the graveyard, it can be sent back to the top of your deck. My argument is, why would you want it to? And the final card that they mention is Hendu Kaiku Clocker. It's a dark attribute pendulum machine type, level 4 with a scale of 4 and 600 attack and 1200 defense. Pendulum effect, 1 while you control their monsters, or all monsters you control are pendulum monsters. Apply this effect based on your pendulum zone this card is in. Left, reduce this card's pendulum scale by 3, or right, increase this card's pendulum scale by 4. 2, once per turn during your opponent's standby phase, you can special summon this card from your pendulum zone. Monster effect, if this card is special summoned to a zone that is not the center main monster zone, destroy this card. 2, it cannot be destroyed by battle. 3, once per turn during your opponent's end phase, you can target 1 card in your pendulum zone, destroy it, and if you do, place this card in your pendulum zone. This is one of the cards that I think is probably best out of the pack that's coming out for Lightning Overdrive. The reason I say this is we don't really get too much generic pendulum support. Most of it is very archetypal or have restrictions to it. This card is able to, okay, admittedly it doesn't have very good stat lineup, but actually its pendulum scales are amazing. It can either make itself a pendulum scale 1 or a pendulum scale 8, depending on which zone you use. So you're able to, if you've got a pendulum based deck and you've got too many level 8s, scale 8s, then you can actually just make this a scale 1, and then you can pendulum some between level 2 and level 7. Alternatively, you've got the reverse where you can shift this into a rank 8, well, a pendulum scale of 8, and then you've got the flexibility the other way. That's the design of this card. The monster effects aren't really that good and are designed mainly to get this card back where it belongs in the pendulum zone. The first effect, self-destruction, it's not worth it. Putting it in the middle of the field as well is just taking up a monster zone that you play something completely different with. The secondary ability to not be destroyed by battle isn't relevant either. Most cards, even if you place this in defense mode, can use piercing damage as part of their effect. If not, they can switch this to attack and then just ram you for the rest of the damage. Or the third effect, which is what it's useful for, destroy one of your pendulum monsters. That goes back to the extra deck where you can actually summon it again at some point, and then you get to replace this card there to use its pendulum effects once again. That's the purpose of this card.